What happens if you don't get an H1B? Hey everyone, my name is Kajal and this is a follow-up for the previous video where I talked about visa for international students studying in the US. I'll be answering some of the questions I received and I'll include all of the timings in the description below. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first question is, how do you transition to an H1B visa from OPT? Now, when it comes to your OPT and STEM OPT, you're on your F1 visa. Now, remember, you can also get your H1B before you start your OPT or STEM OPT. In all of these situations, you're on your F1 student visa and you want to transition to your H1B visa. Now, when you're applying for this H1B visa, that is after you've gotten your lottery. So you first get a lottery, which is sort of to say that you can now apply for H1B. You go ahead and apply for H1B. Actually, your company goes ahead and applies for your H1B with the help of a lawyer. And when this application is going, you can choose if you want a change of status or consular process. Now, when I say change of status, it's the moment your H1B gets approved, you will transition from F1 to H1B visa. And in the second process, you leave the country, get the H1B stamped, and when you enter the country, you will have moved on to the H1B visa. Even if you're going for change of status, when you leave the country, you do have to get the H1B stamp before you can enter the country. But the difference between the two is when your H1B starts. With change of status, you go into H1B immediately after approval, whereas with the other one, it's only after you re-enter the country does your H1B begin. And the moment your H1B begins, your F1 ends. So if you have any unused OPT or STEM OPT, it all goes away. You cannot hold on to it and reuse it at other point of time. It simply goes unused. Next, let's talk about what happens if you don't get H1B. To better answer this question, it's also important to understand how H1B works. H1B is a lottery-based system that a company can apply for you at any point of time. If you're within US or outside US, any company can apply for your H1B. And this is how a lot of people come to the US from countries like India without ever having studied in the US. When you're studying in the US, you get the benefit of OPT and STEM OPT, wherein a company is more likely to apply for your sponsorship because you're already within the country. Now, when you're in the US and have the option of OPT and STEM OPT, you're essentially able to work while waiting to get an H1B lottery. Now, when you're in the US and you've completed all your OPT and STEM OPT working period and not gotten an H1B visa, these are the things you and your company can do. One of the options is applying for O1 visa. Now, this is a little challenging and you need to meet 3 out of 10 criteria. There's a list that you can find at USCIS website. If you meet 3 out of these 10 criteria, then your company can apply for an O1 visa. Another option is applying for a green card. Now, typically, most people apply for EB2 category green card. And if you're from a country like India, this can have a really long waiting time. I mean, more than 10 years. And so it doesn't work out for a lot of people. But the other option is EB1 category green card. This is similar to O1, where you have to meet 3 out of 10 criteria. And another thing to note with EB1 green card is that it is subjective. So you would have to work with a lawyer to meet all of these criteria, and then it depends on the person who's reviewing your application at USCIS to decide if you qualify or not. So here's another option that a lot of my friends have gone through. If you're working for a multinational company, that is to say the company has more than one location in the world, a lot of people transfer to another country and work from there, and then apply again for coming to the US on a work visa. And this includes H1B lottery. As I said before, even if you're outside the country, your company can apply for a H1B lottery system to work in the US. And when that gets approved, you can come back. But once again, it's a lottery system and you do not know if you will or will not get it. Now, all of this again depends on you, your company, and your situation. So in some cases, some of my friends have chosen to go outside, wait for H1B or even wait for green card and then come back on those visa. And in other cases, some of my friends have chosen to not come back to the US because they're fed up of the immigration system and go for a country which has a much better immigration system and also a presence of their company and then simply transfer there permanently. And as I mentioned before, again, this does depend on your company. Your company may simply transfer you or ask you to re interview and assist you with any of the transfer requirements. And another aspect to also keep in mind, with a change to another country, your pay may also change depending on the country you're going. This means both ways. It could also increase and it could also decrease. So do keep that in mind. Now, I know these are a lot of options and it is a bit confusing. So my best recommendation is to work with a lawyer. Be sure to understand all of your options. Go ahead and ask all of your questions to them. And if you're working for a company, most likely the company will help pay for those lawyer fees. Once again, I do want to highlight the disclaimer that I'm not a lawyer and this is not legal advice. This is simply speaking based on experience of mine and my friends. I do hope that some of this was helpful to you. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, and if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.